Virtue and Vice, The Complete Guide of Vigilantism by Nam Zart. Chapter 3 Wandering Dogs. Man fears death, and yet, at the same time, man is drawn to death. Death is endlessly consumed by men in cities and in literature. It is a singular event in one's life that none may reverse. That is what I desire. Dazai Osamu. Light footsteps made way on the cool tile floor. The click of shoes made little echo along the vast hallway. Sticking to the shadows, Dazai allowed himself to ponder. It was almost grounding of a thought to notice how similar hospitals were here and in his original world. Other than the taller walkways, the way the smooth floor and walls merge into one another, a maze that clings to whoever is traversing its path, suffocating its person more than the antiseptic clouding the air in its halls ever could. Truly, Dazai wouldn't say that this is new territory. Getting into places where he's not supposed to be for information is hardly his worst crime. It's just often, it was him breaking out of places like these rather than in. Memories of Mori and Yasuno climbed to the front of his mind, heavy with reminiscence and amoya. Although both of their workspaces were more reminiscent of a clinic, he finds himself just another step off kilter. He'd find it laughable how shaken his mind is. Yet any humor in the situation stays clinging to the bottom of his throat. He doubts it'll dislodge after death had determined a disgrace of him. Nimble fingers make quick work of locks. Even once 200 years in the future, some may assume advancement in technology means greater security. Yet Dazai finds that the more features a device has, the more openings it has to exploit. Something simple and sturdy would do the job much better. It seems the future didn't get that memo. A pity, really. With a clink, the door has opened to a world of answers for him. Taking a step inside, the brunette eyes search the interior. The tech isn't something he's used to, but he doubts that'll be more than a tedious issue. The dull light is prominent in a room engulfed in the dark. The blue catches across the underside of the brunette's cheek, highlighting his eye bags and reflecting in the black of his eyes. Methodical clinking of keys and a soft hum of machinery mix into a comfortable rhythm as the boy works. Pressing enter, Dazai pushes away from the computer, letting the chair he's seated in swivel around once, then twice as it moves backwards. His head falls back against the chair with a soft thump as he looks at the ceiling. Sighing through his nose, Dazai lets his eyes slip shut. He's left to the buzzing of his own thoughts while he waits for the results. Let's say his results come back positive and his ability is now a quirk. What would that mean for this unique situation he's stuck in? Has his body adapted to this reality, or has the consciousness of another him been swapped with the Dazai of this reality? Simply reading the memories of another him is out of the question. He's well versed in that area, and if he did, he should remember his old memories even after the new ones. If he is from this world, would he have any records? He'd have to dig to find out, but there's a chance that his name wouldn't even be Dazai. And if the results come back negative, how the hell did he get here? Dazai Osamu had died. This he knew as a fact. He felt the searing pain shoot through his body, the walls of his skull caving into the flesh of his brain, his body broken and twisted. The chill that settled upon him as his heart stopped and the warmth of his blood that seeped out of him. Dazai Osamu was a dead man. So what is this? Reincarnation? Why just spawn in as a 14-year-old if that was the case? Or does he just not remember it before? Is he the only one from his world here? If they did show up here, would they be here now or 200 years in the past? No, negative or positive results, he most likely isn't from this reality. He was fully clothed and equipped with the attire he had died in. No matter how you look at it, those clothes were from the past. Even if he had the worst amnesia known to man and somehow time traveled into the future, that wouldn't explain the blood or the size of the clothes. The longer he thinks about it, the more likely the idea he isn't from here at all steals itself into his mind. He came here for an answer, yet every scrap of information he obtains just leads to a larger headache, and his head aches. It throbs with each thought that enters his subconscious, and his mind cannot stop running and bashing itself against the lining of his brain. More so now than ever does he contemplate finding a blunt object and smashing his head in, letting the pieces of his skull stab into his brain and bleed out. It wouldn't be the first time, just so his head would shut up. But it won't. It never does. This whole predicament is just downright absurd. God, he misses being dead. The silence of it all. Why couldn't he stay dead? Truly, this might be hell. The sound of the loading bar finishing interrupts his rushing thoughts. His eyes snap open as he rolls over to the computer, racking his gaze over to the screen in front of him. His eyes are immediately drawn to his pinky toe. He stares at it, and stares. He refuses to blink as he looked at the image in front of him. 2 joints in his pinky toe. Same as before. His ability is, well, an ability. Dazai's head hit the keyboard with a loud clunk as he groans. Truly, every answer leads him to more questions. Dazai stayed with his cheek pressed against the keyboard for who knows how long before he got up and rid the place of any trace of him and made to leave. He's slinking around the halls as he makes way to where he entered the hospital. Pushing the door ajar, he's hit with the chill of the night. Huffing, Dazai takes a step out, closing the door as he does. Step after step, his body is at a disconnect from the rapping and humming of his thoughts, as each of them dance and bounce off one another. Always related, yet never anything concrete. He drags his limbs as if his being was drawn taut on a string. Foot after foot, his body moves as to appear that he's more than a stumbling doll. Vaguely, he is aware that he is now surrounded by people. Minutely, he can notice the noise that comes with humanity. Yet the string remains pulled tightly against his limbs as he strides forward. To where? He doesn't know. He doubts the night will lead him to his hotel room. He doubts the night will lead him anywhere at all. Yet clink after clink of his shoes, his body strides forward. The night air is a cold biting upon him, against the warmth of the life amongst the surrounding humans. It's something he welcomes, a grounding sensation for him, a wire pulled tight by his own completion. Once put back into focus, his vision is swarmed with the lights of a bustling city, and the blinking of a crosswalk. When his hearing ceases its rattling, he is greeted by the roar of motors, the pull of friction along the pavement. With the drag back into his predicament, he yearns for one of these cars to lose control over its steering column and leave him nothing more than a smudge along the concrete once more. He has his full brain just to step into oncoming traffic, but surely such an action would be a great inconvenience to these humans. Even so, Dazai has always been a selfish bastard, hasn't he? The notion of bother doesn't seem capable of grasping him as it once did. Sullying suicide by becoming a mere human accident, however, leaves a sour twist against the copper tang within his mouth. Yet what keeps him rooted in this reality is the possibility that he just wake up in a more absurd one. It's a small spark to a flame of terror that burns him, melting his feet to the floor. Just the chance that this isn't a fluke, and death had turned its nose, set panic to ripple along his spine, and carved fear into his lungs. The flickering of the stoplight signals the shuffle of people to move past him. He remains burnt in place. The rise and fall of his chest is uneven. His breath is shallow, everything is swimming. He's well acquainted with dyspnea. He needs to move, yet the strings aren't pulling him forward, only upright. He has to move his legs. He must. If he can just put all of his focus and putting one leg in front of the other, he can move. The strides will keep him standing, he just has to fall forward. Left, then right. Repeat. Left, then right. Left, 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 right. The only thing he can sense is the repeated thud of his feet along the pavement, along with the growing ache in his inner thighs. It's almost enough to distract him from the burning bile clawing its way up his esophagus. Unfortunately for the drunk, it's not enough to stop him from spilling his guts out behind a dimly lit alley. Dazai's chest heaved as his head met the cool tile of the wall. His tongue was heavy with the sour twang of vomit, and the putrid stench of acid seemed to only add to the rust and grime amongst the alley. Him and alleyways were becoming a reoccurring occurrence, he's noted. Maybe this isn't reality at all, but some post-death fever dream. Perhaps it's all a tale following his blooming relationship with the brick walls that make up this city. Ah, who is he kidding? His luck isn't half as interesting or forgiving. Fate and fortune have always been unpredictable and mutable. A shame humanity can't be the same. Crouching down, his face contorts into a grimace. He doesn't know how long he's been drifting. The ache in his thigh has thorned its way down and engulfed his entire leg. His lower back has a dull, pounding pain, and his feet feel as if he's standing on needles. Perhaps he should have a positive outlook. He prefers needles to Legos any day. Unfortunately, optimism was never Dazai's strong suit. Sighing and craning his head upward, the wayward boy squints at the sky. The massive blanket of the night has started to fold as the beginnings of the dawn wrapped its hand around the sky, the telltale sign of its yellow and pale blue blood seeping into the dark of the night. He needs a drink, preferably of the alcoholic variety. He can picture it now, the light burn of his throat as the deep honey gold liquid settled itself down into the pit of him. The clink of ice upon the glass and the fog that clouded the buzzing in his head. God, what he would do for a glass of whiskey. That or a cup of bleach. Surely he can find a bar that wouldn't mind here. Even if it's the future, the dregs of society never change. Standing to his full height, Dazai cracked his neck and slumped his shoulders. While he might venture for an underground bar eventually, the acrid taste of vomit is still coating the inside of his mouth. He supposes a bottle of water will do. So his quest to find a convenience store takes priority. That and his growing dislike of alleys. The mechanical doors ding as they slide open, and he steps inside. Beelining for the water, his bandaged hand takes the first one he comes across. Approaching the checkout, he blocks out the dull voice of the cashier and the ridiculous price of the beverage. Leaving his yen behind and claiming his prize, Dazai shuffles across the shifting doors once more. It lets out the same chime as the doors close behind him. Making haste, Dazai made to unscrew his water and finally looked down as he did. He stopped dead in his tracks at the sight that befell him. He stared at the drink as if his gaze could swallow it whole. Wide white teeth stretched into the definition of HR, and two yellow tufts of what he assumes his hair stared back into the void. All Might, the number one hero, because of course they rank them, is who is on his beverage. It was something he took note of when he first was displaced here. Food, entertainment, transportation. People on this world couldn't look 2 feet to the left and not see a hero's propaganda. Truly, this world is in for a rude dose of disillusionment. Having solved the mystery of the overpriced water, he resigned himself to his fate and took a swig of the corporate liquid. In that moment, it didn't matter that he was swallowing pure endorsement. The relief he felt from escaping thirst was so immense, he chugged the whole bottle down, smacking his chapped lips after the last drop hit his tongue. Thinking about it, this has been the first drop of water since he arrived here, hasn't it? Perhaps it's how the brand stays in business. If that were the case, he doubted the drink would stay in production long. He can't imagine targeting dehydrated other-dimensional personnel bringing in stable revenue. Though, who is he to judge? Perhaps dimensional hoppers are a common occurrence here. It definitely wouldn't be the weirdest aspect of this world. The black in the sky has mostly bled out to blue. He supposes he should make his way back to his hotel. First, however, he needs to figure out where he is. Crumbling the now empty bottle, Dazai shoves it into his coat pocket and moves to retrace his steps.